Do you remember the moment that you fell in love with hip hop?
Oh yeah. I remember the exact moment. It was I remember it was this little town I lived in called Colchester, the same place with Hammond Court. And we had moved into this apartment, in an upstairs apartment. We lived with my grandmother and my uncle. It was me and my mom, my grandmother, and my uncle. My uncle was dope. My Uncle Jeff. He's 12 years older than me. So he was like a big brother to me. Sometimes he had the energy of like Buzz from Home Alone, where he was a dick to me, but I thought that was good. My uncle was like a OG. He was an asshole to me, but I think it helped a lot. I needed that, right? And like big brother type shit. And I remember being in his room and I heard Shaka Khan, I Feel For You, with Melly Mel rapping on it. Right. And I was just like, literally my face was just like this, like listening. And I'm like, oh, what is this? And I just vibed so hard, and I started walking around the apartment, and I wouldn't stop rapping it, but I wasn't good with memorizing the lyrics, so I would just kind of say words that sounded like it, and then I would start to do what, became freestyling, where I would talk about what I wanted for lunch in that same pattern, and I'll talk about toys or cartoons, and I just adopted that. But Shaka Khan, I Feel For You, just was one of the first tastes that I got of hip hop. And I'm sure there was more going on, but that's when I first locked, and that was my most hardcore memory. And then later, there was a college radio show by this DJ here in Connecticut named Doc Nine, who was kind of like our Mr. Magic, and he would play records. And that's the first time I heard like Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick the Show and Run DMC and, all these artists, and Houdini and Kool Moe Dee and all these super fucking dope artists. And I would stay up as long as I could, and my dad would help me tape it. Because my dad was cool as fuck, man. And we had this little boombox. God, it was probably like this big now that I think about it, because it was, and this little boombox, and he would tape it for me. So that way when I fell asleep and I get moved to my room, I would have it all on tape, which was really dope. And my friends used to trip out too, because we would play it outside. I remember like us taking the little boombox, plugging it into an electrical outlet outside, and we would all fucking hang out and listen to these rap shows.
And you thought they were rapping live?
Yes.
Right?
Correct. It was the show. Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick. Okay, so that's an ill thing. So my uncle, he went to this high school, and one day we went to a live concert. So when you're little, your view of the world the world's massive to you, and you only know so much of it. And so that was the only thing I had ever seen of a live performance, was at my uncle's high school. So when I went back and I was listening to the radio with my dad, and I heard Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick the Show, all that, it sounded live too. That record sounds live. Mm-hmm. All I could think about was that was happening at my high school down the street. Those guys were playing live what I was hearing. So I thought Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick the Show was live at the local high school down the street from me.
Was that the first element of hip hop that you got into, or were you into graffiti or like breakdancing?
Breakdancing, my uncle would b-boy. My uncle had a cardboard, and he would breakdance and, do all that shit. And it was cool, and I would try to fuck around, but I had nobody to teach me. But it wasn't until later, like years later, when like late 80s, early 90s, in the early 90s is when we got down with Zulu Nation, and we started hanging out with Zulu Nation, me and my crew. And that was like the resurgence of all the elements, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I joined Zulu Nation in New Haven, Connecticut. And that's when I really started going harder with graffiti and my writing style, and then trying to DJ. And, I always loved the other elements. I just had no roadmap for figuring those shits out. So, it wasn't until that time, but I was in love with breakdancing in the 80s. Like, I couldn't get enough, watching Breakin' 2 and watching all these different things. And, VCRs were so expensive back then. Like, my father would rent one when he could. He would get like a paycheck, and we would rent, a video player. And they're so old. These are the VCRs that they were top loaders, where the top had this thing
yeah,
like that, and you put the tape in, you go, and you close it. And they were fucking huge. So, we would rent those. Like I remember also in addition to renting like breakdance and shit, it was really dope how supportive my father was about hip hop shit. You know, my father was really a rock and roll guy, but he fucked with hip hop hard. He liked it. He appreciated it. And I think he fucked with it mostly because I fucked with it, you know. And but I remember us renting Thriller, the long version of Thriller, where it shows the making of, and then it's the long version of the video. But that shit was dope. So I definitely fucked with all the elements, but some of them just came later because I was playing catch up.
At what point do you decide, okay, I want to start rapping, and then I want to do this like as a real thing for my life? You know what I mean?
It was slow. It wasn't just like a switch, but it started in 1993. And I think hieroglyphics had a lot to do with that. It started out with hieroglyphics, and then shortly after, because 93, I was like pro Hyro, right? Souls of Mischief, Casual, Dell, Extra Prolific, Pep Love, all of that. Those guys, those albums, Dell's No Need for Alarm, Souls of Mischief, 93 Till Infinity, Casual, Fear Itself. That time period, Hyro was running shit for me. And I was just so enamored with them. And I wanted to make records like them. And then later, shortly after that, it was Organized Confusion with Stress the Extinction Agenda. As soon as I heard Pharaoh Monch, and I credit Monch, Monch is one of my closest friends in the industry. I love him. He's like a brother to me. He's the greatest guy. He gives me wisdom, insight, all that. I credit Monch for the inception of Apathy. Like there wouldn't be Apathy as we know it without me studying what he did on the Extinction Agenda. Maybe I would have tried other shit, but that bar was so high, and there was just so many different things he did on that album that's what made me want to be better than everybody else. That's what drove me to be like lose my mind and have a level of perfectionism that I would always chase.
And then, you know, some of your other rap influences were Gangstar, Nas, and Rakim, right? Like
right.
The heavy ones that you were influenced by. But you actually really grew up influenced by classic rock, like you were saying
huge.
with your dad. So like Queen, Led Zeppelin,
Pink
Creedence
Floyd,
Clearwater, Jimi Hendrix, The Doors, Pink Floyd, Steely Dan, Fleetwood Mac, like all that stuff.
Yep.
So what made you go into hip hop instead of starting a band?
It was just as soon as hip hop hit me, like that time with Shaka Khan, like I loved other music and I appreciated other music, but it wasn't everything to me. Hip hop was everything to me from the jump. It was just all encompassing. It just took over. Like it wasn't a question. It wasn't a thought. Like there was no thought process there. It's just what I was. I was like, oh, this is it right here. This is what we're doing. And I just would listen to music, and then I would study it more and see who's coming out. And it got to the point where I was obsessed. And I'm saying obsessed like most people aren't. There's a lot of hip hop fans and there's a lot of hip hop heads, but like I want to know the engineer for the Yag Fu Front album. You know what I'm saying? I want to know who the photographer was for this group called the Invices. I want to know the names of the members of the Troubleneck Brothers and where they're from. I want to know about Van Full of Pakistans and Y'all So Stupid and you know, and Trends of Culture and all these different people. So it wasn't just normal for me. It was never pedestrian, you know. I started to read between the lines of who was doing shit in the background. Like rest in peace to Michael Lucero, who did you know, Boogie Monsters, Recognize Thresholds of Stress video, who also did Souls of Mischief 93 Till Infinity, who also did Organized Confusion Stress video, and also did Rampage, Beware of the Ramp Sack. And all those videos are out in nature, and they all look weird, and I started to notice they all look the same. And lo and behold, later, so I started to pay attention to the details, man. I became Rain Man with hip-hop shit. I'm still, yeah.
This is where like your ADHD or whatever you want to call it really came in handy, right? Because like I know a lot of people have kind of like an obsessive, like, you know, things when it comes to when you have something like that.
Right. Absolute obsession. And that's why nobody could fuck with me on this hip hop shit other than people like shout out to Dart Adams or, you know, a very small few people like, yo, I really know hip hop. I'm like, all right, bro, okay, I'll let you say these things, but you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a fucking lunatic with it, you know? And that's like once again, I started to recognize the photography of Danny Hastings, and you know what I'm. Shout out to Danny. I just had Danny on my podcast. The dude is a legend. It was surreal for me sitting in the same room as him. He's been my friend for a long time, but it's never lost on me. He's a fucking iconic legend.
You know what's dope is like what you're saying is like in certain ways, like when people have like certain conditions, like they may struggle in other avenues, but they excel in such other areas. Like your eye for detail, it really stood out. Like, you know, you paid attention to the little things that other people might overlook, and that's how you were able to notice the pattern of like the videos shot in this way, and it happens to be the same guy doing it. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing.
Right. Even down to, you know, it's just stupid shit. Like, and it's the gift and the curse too, because sometimes it'll drive you fucking nuts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, especially when you don't have confirmation right away. It's easier to get that confirmation in the internet world. But when you're younger,
right, but back then, no way. Like you know,
you're just like always like, I know something's up here. I can fucking tell. I can smell it. But you don't get a lot of confirmation, you know?
So you used to read the dictionary a lot, and this is something that like helped you with freestyling, right?
Right. Yep.
What gave you that idea to start doing that? Like it was just happened by chance?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it was looking up words I heard in rap already. And then I would just continue. And then it got to the point I just needed ammo for these bars. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm looking up all these different words and I'm just straight up, you know, using words out of the dictionary. And it's funny because when I was young, there was still verses like I would use words, and it technically meant what the definition was, but it didn't sound conversational or natural. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I'm using some of these words to do these verses, but it was just like OD complex for no reason.
You was T.I. before T.I. expeditiously.
Oh, I don't know. Does he do that?
you know how when he talks, he uses like those really big words and people kind of make fun of it. But
oh no, I didn't know that was a thing.
Shout
man.
out to T.I.
I feel like somebody else does that. Some celebrity does that. I'm not sure.
My boy Lush one.
Okay.
Shout out to Lush. He was bigging you up. I was talking to him about you and that I was going to interview you, and he was like, just had nothing but positive things to say about you.
Oh, I
Poison
appreciate
Pen
it.
too.
Thank you to him, man. God bless.
Yeah, and Poison Pen too, man. He had nothing but the best things to say about you.
Listen, Pen is one of my oldest friends. I love like a brother, man. We've been down for so long. It feels like I've known him for 50 years and I'm only 46, you know?
Right.